So a big welcome to the International Somatic Coaching Network. And today we have Nadine Moussa, and she is very kindly joining us to be our guest speaker. Um, she is a transformational coach. She's a storyteller, and I am really wanting to find out a little bit more about that. And she guides leaders and teams to emotional freedom, resilience, and joy. And I love the word joy. I always, even just the word joy makes me feel joyful. And she's the writer of My Heart Speaks as well. So a big welcome to you, Nadine. And I'm just aware, did I actually say your surname correctly? Because I didn't check that beforehand.
I didn't notice I didn't
Oh,
hear anything wrong, but I think it was
oh,
fine.
that's good. That's good. So a big welcome to you. And yeah.
Thank you, Caroline. So I'm very happy to be with you here today. I believe that we all go through life with our experiences so that we elevate our learning and we get to know, figure things out. And when you have that aha moment and when you have an epiphany, I believe it's our obligation and it's our also brings us joy when we share that aha moment with others so that others can benefit. So I just a little bit more about me. I'm based in Egypt. I have two sons, a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. I'm an empty nester. They're studying in France. So difficult new times, as they say. And so I'm here with my husband and we live close to the pyramids. Where the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum, we could feel and hear the fireworks. It was really awesome this last weekend, and I invite you all to come visit Egypt, and I would love to see you if you do come. I started my career in corporate, so I was marketing and business development, and then I shifted careers after I was forced out of corporate. I was too much of a conformist, I have to admit. And I moved more into the space of people. So I was more in terms of business and profit and products before, and then I moved into the people dimension because in my last role in corporate, I was working on leadership development. And I started to realize I have this passion with people, and it brings me a lot of joy. So my purpose in life, the experiences that I've been through is all meant to help to inspire other people to reach their potential. And it's a gift that I have. I'm also an Enneagram practitioner, leading with type 3 for those who understand Enneagram. And uh, the business that I have is inspiring hearts. So inspiring hearts because my gift is inspiring, and it's a gift. I'm not being arrogant. It's a gift that I have. And the hearts is because I was completely disconnected from my hearts for over 20 years, and I realized that, I had it all wrong. So this is basically very briefly more about, me. And I wanted to understand a little bit more, why are you interested in the topic today? So you're here today. So if you could just unmute yourself and let me know more about you and what brings you here today, love to hear from you. Sarah?
Yeah, hi Nadine. So my background, working background was in HR and big organizations, so maybe a little similar to yours in that way. I moved out of there and kind of, fundamentally, I think I've recognized I'm a helper, is how I describe myself, like a driving purpose to help people achieve positive change or something, or positive outcomes. So I kind of had a little look at counselling, and then I found coaching and did a qualification in coaching. And through that, over time, as Caroline has said, I sort of came across, I think, through work that Caroline was doing somatic coaching, and have become more interested in tapping into the body, using the body a lot alongside the mind. So most of the work that I do now, I do a lot of work with a big charity here in the UK called the King's Trust. So some of that was working directly with young people, disadvantaged young people, of which we have increasing numbers out of work, etc. But most of what I do now is working with staff, frontline staff, so leaders, managers, helping the career development of aspiring managers. So that's that side. But I would say right now, alongside the work that I do, probably like many people around me in my personal life, I have a lot of people going through very tough stuff. Some of it health stuff, other kind of big shifts that are going on. So I'm kind of finding that my drive to help is being kind of deployed on all fronts, both through work and personally. And you know, we just live in an age, don't we, that's becoming more and more challenging. People are becoming more and more disconnected from their hearts, from human connection, from the things that really matter. So trying to find a way through that for myself and for others, I guess, is really becoming more and more important. So yeah, so that's me. Is that enough?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. I love what you just said, and that disconnection is really one of the reasons why I designed this session about wisdom of emotion, is because of that word. Because for me, I believe we are always living in a paradox of, we are living in a life of, you like, you have challenges and you have polarities, and we are dreaming of being connected with everybody else. However, how can we connect with one another when we are disconnected from ourselves? And the key thing is emotions, to be able to and the somatic work is being in the body and feeling it. So it's very important to connect. We dream of global peace, and yet we are struggling to find our own inner peace. So we really, for us to have any impact outside, you need to go inside. So this is basically one of my key messages from today. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. Who would like to go next?
I can go if that's okay. So what you were both just saying actually kind of really taps into what drew me to the session. I think I spent a lot of time growing up, as you were both saying, that word disconnection. I wasn't particularly connected to my emotions, and not even necessarily to know how to use them, but just to even have the awareness of what's going on, what I'm feeling. And so it wasn't until kind of probably my late 20s, early 30s, I really started to engage with that a bit more, had some therapy. And I think as well, in terms of my coaching work, some of the leaders that I work with, there's a sense, I think, particularly as they move up what you might call the leadership ladder, of where do I put some of these emotions now? Where's a safe space to experience some of the things that I feel, particularly things like anger, you know, if they're in frustrating situations, or if they're in situations that they're finding really upsetting. So I think there's also something for me, as you were saying, Nadine, if we can't do the work ourselves and experience it ourselves, it's harder to do that with other people. But for myself to then be able to support my clients to safely process things, kind of emotionally regulate in the moment if they're in a tough situation or whatever, and also for people in my personal life as well. But I think, yeah, when I was reading through the info about the session, I thought, yeah, I definitely need to go to that. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren, for sharing. Yeah, we need to walk the talk. Yeah, if we're preaching something, we really definitely need to embody it. And we need to also be gentle with ourselves. You know, if we're not able to, we say we're not able to, we take some time and be truthful and honest with oneself. That's very, very important in this inner work. Okay, so who would like to go next?
I'll go next. I'm Mariana. I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I identify as a leadership development coach. I enjoy working with leaders, senior managers in the corporate space. The reason that I came to the session is I think I also need to do the inner work. A couple of years ago, I realized that the emotion that wasn't really accessible in my home was crying. So I don't cry that often. And sometimes I want to cry because I know it's a release mechanism. So that's something that I would probably like to, explore for myself. And also the leaders that I work with, very cognitive, very much in their head. And I think, the somatic work is something that I need to do for myself. And I feel if I do it for myself, then my presence with my clients, it'll be useful for them as well. The way I show up differently.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that and welcome today. Derek? Caroline, you're on mute.
Yeah, we're not hearing you, Derek. Just wondering if your microphone, I know that you're unmuted, but we're not hearing you.
If you'd like to write in the chat, if you're not able to have the audio, you could also write in the chat.
Lovely. May I, while
Yes,
Derek
I
is
was gonna
doing
ask
that?
you now.
Yeah, so you've got me thinking. So increasingly now I use the three things that Ginny White, well, I came across it through Ginny Whitelaw: head, heart, and hara. And heart being where our emotions are and our heart space and our connection to the world and beyond, and hara being the life force. And so that feels really important to me to bring that in. And I've spent quite a few years thinking about, I don't like the phrase mind, body, and spirit. And the reason why I don't like it is because it's separated out body from mind. And to me, mind is embodied and relational. So it's like I kind of quite, yeah, I can't quite sort of separate those out to me. And so I'm kind of really interested in that. Quite a lot of people I feel who come into somatic coaching come from the heart place. There is that sense of the heart and kind of knowing, sort of having that sense of it having closed, which I think is what Mariana's talking a bit around, crying, sorrow, grief. Our heart closes because of that, as a way of protecting ourselves. All of these things that we do, we protect ourselves. And I think people come into this because intuitively they know that they want to open their hearts.
Yes.
That is being, to me, that is really the only way of being human, is to have an open heart, even when I'm really annoyed with somebody and they're obviously wrong, because I'm obviously right. So I love that you're bringing in the heart.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And you mentioned the head, heart, and hara. That's Jenny, who the author is called
Ginny
Jenny.
Whitelaw. She does Zen. She is, I can't remember which martial art it is, but she comes from the martial arts kind of frame, like a bit like Strozzi did. And so yes, she talks a lot about that head, heart, and hara. I'll put that reference in when I send the email out afterwards.
Thank you. So we'll try again one more time with Derek. Let's see if we can have your if you can unmute and we can hear you. Okay, so we get a message from him.
I read that out. My
Go ahead.
apologies for my sound. I've always been intrigued by the idea that our mental state affects our physical body. I think that well-being in terms of diet, exercise, but it sometimes seems that's only part of the story.
Oh, absolutely.
That's lovely.
It's definitely just part of the story, and feelings are very, very important. And I would like to share a quote by Aristotle. So Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. So Aristotle said that. Imagine. And we are so far away from taking care of our heart and taking care of our feelings. We get no education about that. Let's be quite honest. Our parents don't know. And our school systems globally, I believe, they don't really tackle this. So emotions are part of the education. We are super focused, like Caroline said, on the cognitive and the head and IQ. But now I believe the tides are changing and EQ is becoming very, very strong, and it's very important. And believe me, in the times that we are living right now, if we do not connect with our emotions, we're going to be losing our jobs to AI. We're going to be losing because AI is taking everything. So the only way for us to survive and thrive, not just survive, but thrive, is when we are actually in peace with our emotions. We are okay with our emotions. So I just wanted to do a little check-in. So when it comes to emotions, imagine you have two sides. You have the sunny side, you know, I'm okay with my emotion. Doesn't mean that I'm happy all the time. Doesn't mean sunny doesn't mean happy. It just means that you're comfortable in your everyday managing of your emotions. It's bright and you can see it, it's clear. Or are you on the sandy, dusty side where it's very blurry, you're actually feeling suffocated by the emotions? So just you can type in, or if you want to unmute yourself, let me know. Are you more on the sunny or the cloudy side, the dusty side? You can also unmute.
I think for me, I think there's a longing to be on the sunny side as much as possible, but it feels increasingly difficult with the outside world and events, daily events, weekly events. So I feel like I'm sort of battling daily, almost to hang on to those, or to put myself in that sunny side place, and others with me, maybe.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm generally on the sunny side.
That was Mariana, right?
Yes. I'm generally on the sunny side. A few years ago, before I started my own business, I was more on the cloudy side. But I think just going into my own business and stepping into my own voice, whatever that was freedom. And so I am now just sunny as because I'm living my own story.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you, Beth. Lauren, you want to read that, Caroline?
So Lauren says, oh, I'm still on the cloudy side, but it's clearer than it used to be and closer to the sunny side now. That's lovely. That sounds like the lyrics of a song, Lauren.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I love it. Thank you for that. So for me, for most of my life, I was more on the cloudy side. I was completely on the cloudy side, and I misunderstood emotions. So let me tell you a little bit of my story. My mother, God bless her, she's very much in a hurry. I really haven't figured out her relationship with time. What is the source of this hurriness? She's always in a hurry. So I ended up going into university at a very young age, and I graduated at a very young age, almost 20. I graduated a few months before 20, and I entered the corporate world very young, at the age of 20. They had to make an exception to open a bank account because in Egypt you need to be 21 to have a bank account. So that was that tricky at the time. Of course, I was full of life and energy, and I wanted to climb up the ladder of success and be, the best manager ever and what have you. At the age of 23, I had a very difficult boss, very challenging but difficult boss. But however, I learned a lot from him. At the time, we're talking about in the late 90s, yeah? We didn't have the luxury of what we have right now, like coaching. Nobody really heard that word, wasn't there, So the leaders were not coaches, The leaders were more directive, bosses. They're bosses, not leaders, but we had bosses. And we didn't have the luxury of having constructive criticism. It was all the way destructive criticism. So I'm not blaming anybody because that was the culture. It was everybody, that was the norm. The norm is that when you give feedback, you do it very harsh. So being very young, every single time my boss used to sit me in front of him to give me that destructive feedback, what do you think happened to me? How did I take that feedback? Guess. Any guesses? You can unmute yourself or type.
I imagine it made you feel a bit smaller and to hide how you are and who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mariana, you were struggling with what? What kind of emotion were you struggling with, Mariana?
Crying.
Exactly. So I didn't struggle. I used to cry. I cried, and it didn't happen one time. It didn't happen two times. It happened every single time I would go into his office. He would always bring me the box of tissues and put it in front of me. Okay, so Nadine's coming. Yeah, go ahead, cry, baby, cry. So it was like, all right, this is not gonna work. I have ambitions to grow, and who would promote somebody who's crying like a child at work? That's not gonna work. Not knowing any better, I decided my coping mechanism at the time is like, okay, emotions, they're coming in the way of my career. So I'm going to basically hide them all in the trunk of my car and completely ignore them, and I will continue cruising through my life. I don't need my emotions, literally. So fast forward at the age of 31, I had my sons were 3.5 and 1.5 at the time. When you keep suppressing your emotions and ignoring your emotions, what will happen to you? Any idea?
Become
The
numb.
volcano will erupt.
Sorry, Sarah, what you were saying?
You can become numb.
Numb. And Caroline, you were going to say? Explode. Yes, Derek, absolutely. It exploded. So you see, everything is connected. So that emotions that I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of resentment, and I was like blocking them, blocking and blocking them. It ended up being exploded, and I fell sick. And again, at the time, I was, and the whole Middle East world was very ignorant when it came to mental health. So actually, I had depression and anxiety. It was basically post-maternity, a bit later, because for the first time in my life, I had to leave my work, and I wasn't living the regular privileged life that I normally was living, and it was very difficult. So I didn't get this kind of support that you would have if you understood that. So that toxicity got really, really toxic, and I fell sick to lymphoma, which is one of the good kinds of cancer. So I was like, okay, so it's cancer, no biggie. Some people have problems with their heart. Some people have, all right, I'm just going to continue with my life. And I didn't really do much changes, let me put it that way. And then I got my treatment. And then after 9 months, when I did the follow-up, the treatment, it came out that, all right, it was getting more advanced and it wasn't well and things were not so good. So I had to actually leave my kids and go to France for my medication. And here is when I started to realize, I have to stop. This is not going to work. So this going ahead with life is, all right, I have cancer, so what? No biggie, you just continue. It didn't really, it's not, there's a message behind it. There's a reason that there's something that has to shift, And I started to notice that in my life, I had a lot of negative emotions and very little positive emotions. So it's normal to have both negative and positive. We're all human beings. We cannot always, that's like I said, you're being the sunny side doesn't mean that you're happy all the time, but things are clear, you're okay with it. So I decided to shift that balance. The only way out, I invited gratitude. And I invited a lot of gratitude, and I started to see the blessings in my life when because of the depression and the anxiety that I had, I wasn't really able to do that. But when I reached stage 4, it was like, all right, you need to do something about it. You need to move, otherwise you're gonna die, literally. So that helped me. And I'm very grateful and blessed that I was able to be fine, go back to my kids, see them play in the garden. And that was my dream. Just go back to my kids, see them grow up and play in the garden. So this was my first encounter with emotion. But I still had my emotions in the back of the truck because for me, it was more positive, negative gratitude, but I didn't still understand them. Fast forward, I went back to corporate after a few years of resting, and I faced a restructure. And then when they told me the news, I took it so personally. Although I was not happy at work, I was traveling too long. It was a very long commute, and I wasn't any longer fulfilled. And yet I felt it was a failure, and yet I felt that I'm not appreciated. And then again, I fell into that depression. I felt my whole world was coming to the end because my work in corporate is over. What woke me up at the moment is I lost a very good friend of mine to cancer. It was like a slap on my face. Wake up. You are not your role. You are you. You are so much bigger than a role. So yes, one door is closing, but there are so many other doors. So you need to stop, focusing on I lost my job and start seeing all the other opportunities that I always wanted to do so many things, but I never really had the time because I was in the corporate rat race. No time for anything. So thankfully that helped me get out of the depression, and I started taking so many different courses. Part of it was Enneagram. I did my happiness coaching. I studied so many things, public speaking and what have you. So in one of those courses, I was doing my haptitude, and it wasn't with my teacher, it was with my colleagues. We were doing a coaching circle. And one of the ladies from India said that emotion is energy in motion. I was like, what? Say that again? I don't get it. Say it again. So emotion is energy in motion. And then I suddenly realized that was my epiphany. It's like, if it's energy, then I need to let the energy be. I cannot suppress that energy, because what happened is when I suppressed that energy, it went somewhere and it mutated and it became cancer. So you need to feel whatever is going through your body, you need to feel it and accept it. So suddenly I realized I had it all wrong. So that coping mechanism, that emotions were coming in the way of my life that I felt at the age of 23, I realized, and at that time I was around closer to 40. Yeah. No, it's not it. I am the one coming into the way of my life because it's me that's stopping. It's me misunderstanding and mishandling my emotions and labeling them as bad. Yeah. So that was my big aha moment and my big epiphany. And then, of course, in the course of that time, so around close to 20 years, all my relationships suffered. All of them. I mean, I didn't have any great relationship, whether personal, professional, none. Because, of course, how can you have a good relationship when you're not having a good relationship with yourself? You need emotions. You need to have that. I was more of like a robot. I became so doing, and not a human being. So you need that human connection. You need the empathy. You need the compassion. And it all starts with first self-compassion and self-empathy so that you're able to actually be that to others. Just like Mariana was saying, how can you do that with your clients if you don't have it yourself? You need to embody it, to be it, so that you can actually teach it. Not just teach it, but you can actually inspire others to be like you. Yeah. And that's the change happened, and I started to focus a lot more. And thankfully, I've improved a lot my relationship, and I put boundaries on the relationship that I don't want to move on, and they're not really good for me. I put the boundaries, and that was my big aha moment when it comes to emotions. So the thing is, I might mention to you that we don't really have the tools. Nobody really teaches us. So I want to talk about the emotional wheel, but before we go into the emotional wheel, I wanted to ask you, do you have any idea how many emotions do we have?
Lots.
Lots, absolutely. But how many is lots? Let's try to quantify it.
I think in the Atlas of the Heart, she identifies 88. And I've forgotten the name of the American lady who's written that book.
Brené Brown.
Brené Brown, that's the
Yep.
one. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love her. I love that book. I highly recommend it. It's not a book that you can read the one shot, but over the time, I read it.
It's great to refer to.
Year.
Yeah.
I read it throughout. I just finished it a few weeks ago. I loved it. Absolutely. So we have 88. From experience, oh, Derek, you studied well, huh? We experienced up to 34,000 in a 24 period. Okay, so we have 34,000 emotions. In a day, we could experience up to 400. Now, I don't know them. I don't think anybody knows what they are because, like we said, no, we're not educated about that. But let's talk about the mental side. How many thoughts do we have in a day? Do anybody has an idea?
Too many.
Too many, absolutely.
Thousands.
Thousands. They're closer to around 60,000 thoughts. And of course, social media is definitely a big supporter of that machine. So if you come to think about it, if you can ever manage thoughts versus, okay, if they're 400, even quantifiably, you can start to realize the easier way around is actually the emotions, because they're a lot less. They're 400 than the 60,000. So this is the best way forward, is to manage our emotions. So Robert Putschnick, let me share this slide. And we will be sharing this one with you. So this is a very simple tool. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the whole purpose, what I'm trying to say is you need to feel it, to heal it, to let it go. And the first thing is, what is it? Feeling. Feeling the emotion, because we don't really know. When you're angry, we talked about anger, yeah? Lauren, you were talking about anger. So when it comes to anger, are you feeling threatened or mad or offended or frustrated or annoyed? It's all very different. So use the emotional wheel, keep it with you. You'll have it even on soft copy, you'll keep it on the phone. So whenever you're feeling that emotion and you're suddenly feeling stuck, there's a lot happening, try to name it. What is the emotion? What is it that you're feeling? And it's very important to feel it, and feel it. Where are you feeling it in the body? And acknowledging it. Because, if you acknowledge the emotion instantly, without judging it, it takes your body 90 seconds to let it go. 90 seconds. Not even 5 minutes, 90 seconds. So if it's fear, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm worried. If I acknowledge that I'm feeling worried, and I let it be, without putting it in the trunk of the car, or ignoring it, or burying it, the worry is going to subside because I acknowledged it. Yeah. So it's very important to become familiar and be gentle with yourself, because this is not easy. So sometimes you'd think, oh, I'm feeling lonely, but it's actually guilty. You just need to be with yourself and understand what's happening here. Is it really guilt, or is it I'm feeling lonely? And the only way you do that is by sitting with yourself. And what is it? Why is it coming? What's happening? What's the message behind it? Yeah. So I just wanted to stop and let me know, how are you finding this? If this is bringing in anything you'd like to share, any questions so far, let me know.
I think, Nadine, just what you said now, it's for me, it's true. By just figuring out what is that emotion. So sometimes I would say, no, it's not fear, it's not that. And when I do come to the actual feeling, I do sense that lightness coming into the space. So what you said now resonates with me.
Very good. Very good. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
I'm just thinking that for me, I think something that's going on is learning to manage, or understanding how to manage the powerful emotions that are kind of associated with certain situations, in order to be able to sort of function and deal with them and be of support or help to others. So, I'm naturally a very emotional person in our family. We are, as females. So I think part of my work is learning, it's learning how to manage that and not just be swept away totally with the emotion to the point that you can't function usefully, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're talking about the emotion sweeping you away. Is actually, I always like to talk about the metaphor of the wave, because emotions are like waves. So think about it. When you swim in the sea or the ocean, how do you deal with the waves? Do you give your back to them and let the wave make you fall and topple and get hurt? Or do you sink with the wave and ride the wave and allow the wave actually to take you very high up to a peak of joy, and then you go slowly slow down? So this is the trick, because this is exactly what needs to be done with the emotion. Because if you turn your back to the wave and you turn your back to the emotion, you're going to get hurt. The wave and the emotion is going to sweep you over. It's going to make you fall. You can scrape your knee, you can break your leg, whatever it is, how depending on the height of the wave. But if you actually embrace that wave and you can see it coming, and you can decide, oh, I usually, what I do is I decide, depending on the height of the wave, okay, you know what? I'm either going to go down and I come up and I feel very exhilarated, or I actually just go up with it and I get to a much higher level of my height because the wave lifted me. The emotion actually lifted me. So it's riding the emotion, it's moving with the emotion, it's accepting it. But if you turn your back to it, you can't do that. So always think about that, and think about what are you doing with that emotion in your life, and think about the wave. Are you letting that emotion lift you up, or are you letting that emotion make you fall and get hurt? Yeah. So I have 2 questions for you now. I would like to know what triggers you and what brings you joy. Anybody would like to go ahead and unmute? Or if Derek, if you'd like to write in the chat. So what triggers you and what brings you joy? So I'll give you an example. For myself, what triggers me is not being listened to. So when I'm talking, and then usually my younger son is the one that always triggers me, doesn't listen to me. So that's a big trigger for me, not being listened to. I used to get triggered by driving in Cairo traffic. Those who have visited Egypt would understand it's really crazy, chaotic, organized chaos. But I worked on it, and no, it is no longer a trigger. What brings me joy is connecting with people. For me, this session today is it's like feeding my soul. Huh? I'm so happy to be sitting here with you here, even if we're virtual. It's not in person. Connecting with people brings me joy, and being in nature, whatever type of nature, whether it be the desert, be it the forest, the snow, the sea, I just love being in nature. So that's me. Let me know about you. What triggers you and what brings you joy?
I'll read out Derek's. So the trigger is poor customer service, and the joy, walking my dog.
Oh, beautiful. Who else would like to go?
We've got another one from Lauren. So triggers: injustice, unfairness, not being heard, being misinterpreted, misconstrued. Joy is connection with people and pets, being outside, and another person for walking my dog. And I'm a
Oh, I love
third.
that, walking with dog.
Oh yeah, and we've got another for joy is dog walking, nature, dance, and movements. Yeah, lovely.
And her trigger is sadness
It's
and
not in yet, I don't think.
oh, no, she wrote it before.
Yes.
Sadness and anger
Yes.
of others.
Yes, perfect.
So Mariana, would you like to share?
My triggers, I've been to Cairo. But the taxis in our country are also very bad. That is a trigger for me. I notice I must express it in the car. So taxi drivers. But actually all cars now in South Africa are not very rule compliant anymore. So that triggers me. Because I can't understand why. Blatant lies and fake news. That's put across as truth. That triggers me. And what gives me joy is I'm also a nature inspired person. So watching birds fight with each other, or watching animals doing their thing, watching babies just doing their thing, walking in the forest, silence in a nature environment that brings me joy.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And this question of what triggers you and what brings you joy, I invite you to do that with your family member. Yeah. Because sometimes we really are triggering one another and we're really totally clueless, but we never really asked. So, and you could do that with your team member. You can do it with your family. You can do it with your friends. What triggers you and what brings you joy? It's a great way of, letting down the guard and being quite honest. Now, the trigger, let's go back to the trigger because, what triggers me is my growth. So you all said what triggers you. We need to work on that because the trigger means there's something, when you're pointing your finger, you're saying, oh, you triggered me. It's you're the one who's driving so badly. You're the one who's unjust. You are pointing one finger to that other person and you're pointing 3 fingers at yourself and 1 to the universe. So actually you're projecting. It's a projection. And the inner work starts when you're working on your shadows and you're understanding why is this triggering me and what is it that I need to do about it. So and then you need to be also realistic because some of the triggers, I really feel a lot of empathy because Lauren, you said one of your triggers is injustice and unfairness. Now, the world is unjust and unfair. And it never was and never will be just and fair. So that's a fact. But yet this triggers you. So it's like a vicious circle. So you need to work on that because obviously, if you look into the circle of control, if you're aware of the circle of control, you have what you have in the inner circle is me. I can only control me. I can never really control my circle of influence, which is basically other people, my family, my husband, my kids, my dog. These are things that you can only influence, you can never control. And of course, you have the circle of concerns, basically with the environment, the politics, the fake news, all of that very, very far. That's very far. So the more you focus on what you can control, which is you, me, I don't like the use of controlling emotions because we can't control emotions, but we can manage emotions. Because emotions are here, we're not here to control them because otherwise we'd be robots. And we have become that, but we need to undo that and we need to go back to our humanity. So the work, if you can take something from today, is that the trigger. So we have not being heard or seen or being misinterpreted or misconstructed for Lauren and the injustice. Take a note of that and see what kind of work can you do to let it be no longer a trigger. And likewise for Derek, you said poor customer service, that's a trigger for you. So how can you overcome that? Why is it triggering you? What's the reason behind that? Yeah. And if any light bulb came up, do share. If it might come later, also please do share. We're still connected on LinkedIn on that. It'll be nice. If anybody would like to share something, please go ahead. Poor customer service is injustice for me or unfair. Yeah, so it's very close to Mariana. Mariana, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I think something that stood out for me from what you said the world is unjust. And my thought was, parts of the world are unjust. I just haven't taken the time to look at the parts of the world that are just because I think social media and those that are in the power space, they get a lot of airtime and they get a lot of focus on the stuff that they're not doing right. And we don't spend a lot of time looking at the parts of the world that are doing good, that are doing fair, or so that just stood out for me. In for my it will help me with my trigger as well, because not all taxi drivers drive badly. I took my mom to the clinic today, and there was a taxi driver that gave us a chance to come into the traffic.
Oh.
And so I must remind myself that it's not, I shouldn't generalize. Or I don't want to, not shouldn't, I don't want to generalize. I must look for those opportunities or those experiences where the taxi drivers, they drive well. You know, so then it won't, I think then it won't trigger me as it currently does. I think that will help me, yes.
That's amazing. And thank you for using the word should and taking it back. This is another thing I would like to leave you all with. Think about it whenever we say the word should. I think this is one of the worst words in the English language because it when you say it to somebody, they automatically put in their guard and you're not going to win anything with them. And when you tell it to yourself, then you're guilting yourself. You take yourself on a guilt trip. So it's either I could or I would. No more should, because there's no obligation. Everybody does what they want to do, and we have no, don't put the it doesn't add. It causes more harm than good, let me put it that way. So it's always better not to use, and watching the word, because everything, like I said, emotion is energy, but actually everything is energy. So even the words we say, the colors we wear, and I'm so amazed that me and Caroline are wearing the same color out of the blue. All of this is energy, the music, when we're going out to nature, that gives us energy. So everything is energy. So notice the energy and notice what happens. So now when you're being triggered, whether it be when you're in a taxi driver and it was a bad experience, or you're having a bad experience with a customer service, Derek, or whatever it is, or Lauren, it's something unjust in the word is making you really get triggered. Where are you feeling it in your body? Yeah, because that needs to be felt. You need to feel it and let it be, because it's energy.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I've been listening and thinking about, when you were talking earlier about labeling the emotion and kind of that nuance of it's this part of anger or whatever. And for me, actually, what has made a big difference is the first thing I do is notice what's happening in my body. So I've shared this example, I think, with Sarah. So forgive me, Sarah, if I'm saying it again. But during lockdown, my mother was in a care home, and I was going on to Zoom. And I can remember that feeling of getting my cup of tea and banging it down and logging in and dreading, absolutely dreading seeing her there, because I felt so helpless. And so rather than trying to, well, I think what I'd done before is kind of go, that's a negative thing, push it away. So what I did was I sat with the tension in my jaw and my chest and all the rest. And by noticing it and not changing it, it transformed. And I suddenly went back to a memory of us dancing in the kitchen.
Amazing.
And so there wasn't that, I didn't kind of need to label it, just by kind of allowing the sensations. It gave me a route to what was happening in that present moment. And I think for me, the key has been noticing and not trying to change it. So rather than noticing it, I'm going to relax my throat, I'm going to do some breathing, just noticing, and my body just kind of did whatever it needed to do in that moment. So I'm kind of curious on what you think about that, and also the relation to your emotional wheel.
Okay, so for me, this is perfect, because you felt the stuckness. You were stuck here, and the best way to manage emotions is, like we said, you're acknowledging it, and you're sitting with it or moving with it, whichever. Sometimes it might be you're moving with the emotion, and then slowly and gradually another emotion comes in. Yeah. So just I this last weekend, I went on a hike in Sinai, and I went to that was my fourth peak. I went to Mount Moses, and we call it Mount Moses. Some people call it Mount Sinai, and it was a beautiful hike. And when I was up top, my last article is called "My Elevated Heart" on LinkedIn. I shared my experience there, And I had a beautiful experience over the weekend. And then that was our weekend is Friday, Saturday. And then all of a sudden on Sunday, I had a drop. I was like, because comparison is the thief of all joy. And while you were there, all of the other couples were saying, oh, how we met this and how we met that and how they met. And then I started to realize that I was like, I didn't get my share of the romantic part that my husband would have done. And I started going really, really down. And I decided, what? I need to move with this. I'm not happy. I'm upset. So I'm just going to go for a walk. So I went out and I walked around the nature close where I live. And then I did just one walk. Usually I do more than, around, I do more, but I just did I went for a slow walk. And then I sat on the bench and I started watching the fountain and the water in front of me. And all of a sudden, that resentment and the frustration that I felt of being, not getting that poem or not getting that song, somebody sung a beautiful song for their, when they were courting, I was just left and I felt gratitude because I allowed myself to feel the feeling of the resentment but then I moved with it. I didn't just sit with it, I just didn't keep on moping and I'm gonna stay sad and no. I'm gonna move with it. It's energy. So let me dissipate the energy, and going for a walk when you're feeling sad, that really helps a lot because all of a sudden you see nature and you connect and that uplifts your spirit. So it moved to, just like you said beautifully, it moved for you, Caroline. You were thinking of her when you're dancing. So all of a sudden something comes. So emotions are very powerful. You can hear the emotion can change your emotion, and that's how you get elevated. So Sarah's saying, breathing and centering myself has helped me recently to cope with difficult emotions. Absolutely. And the best way when you're doing breathing exercises is when you need to let go of something, you do longer exhale than the inhale. So if you're inhaling, you inhale at a count of 4, and then you can exhale at a count of 6 or 8. Because you want to let go of something, the best way is you focus more on the exhale. So this is how I would relate. Does that answer, Caroline, your question about?
I'm kind of really curious now about what Sarah's just said, because it's something around that labeling of difficult emotions. And I think for me, noticing what's happening in my body circumvents that, oh, this is negative. So if it's fear or anger or something like that, which are things, particularly anger in my upbringing, it was like, not allowed to be angry. Actually, if I just notice what's happening in my body and stay with that, that enables me to somehow, it's lost that label of being negative. Or maybe not lost it, but it's loosened it a bit.
Okay.
Because there's something about that polarization. And actually, I've kind of in the last sort of few years, I've kind of really experienced very deep notes of grief. And somehow, and that grief relating to death and to sorrow, and somehow letting that out and sharing that with other people has immediately then enabled the sort of higher notes of joy to come. And there's somehow that's that linking. And I think, for me, certainly where I kind of felt like grief or anger or whatever it was negative, that also affected the sense of it impacts on all of the on all of the emotions. If I dampen down grief, then somehow my joy is dampened down as well. So I'm really glad that Sarah mentioned that, because that feels really important to
And
me.
what you talked, absolutely, and what you just shared about grief, when you share your grief, you uplift it. It shared grief becomes less, so you're less of it, less burdened. And when you share your joy, it doubles. So, but you're not just you're sharing your joy, you bring joy to others. So it's always good to share. And
It is, and I don't know that grief, for me, I don't feel grief can actually be fully expressed unless I'm with others. It's such a human thing,
absolutely,
and need to be with other people.
absolutely. And one of the complicated and the lowest energy vibration is shame. Yeah. And the key for that And you have that in the Atlas of the Heart. She says it beautifully, Brene Brown. You share it. So when you share the shame and you talk about it, it kind of like dissipates. It's no longer there. But when you keep quiet about it and not talking about it, it stays. Its energy stays, and you don't know how to process it. It's not easy. None of this is easy. But what I invite you to do is just witness, just like Caroline said, we're here witnessing this is a process of witnessing ourselves and getting to learn more about ourselves, being in touch with our emotions and being gentle. You're not going to get it, oh, I am, we all have our ups and downs. And I would just like to talk about a little bit of the things that, we said about the labeling, I prefer not to talk about emotions as good or bad. Yes, they're positive and negative, but they're not good or bad because each emotion has a message for us. But before moving on to the myths of emotions, I want us to do a little bit of a somatic exercise here. Yeah. So I have a certain technique that I had designed to help, with after my going through my aha moment. I needed to do, I'm a practical person. So show me how do we do this? So it's basically called the feel technique. So let me share that, and we can try to experiment together. Can you see my screen? Okay. So what do you think the F stands for, the feel technique?
Feel.
Absolutely. Feel. Simple. You need to feel the emotion. And what do you think the E stands for?
Emotions.
No.
No. Energy.
What do you need to do with the emotion? We were just talking about it. What do we need to do with the emotion? We need to
Engage.
engage, embrace it.
Embrace.
Yeah. We need to embrace it and express it. So it's both. And another in my name, I have another one. I put E squared. It's embrace and express. And what do we do? What do you think the A is?
Acknowledge or accept.
Absolutely. Accepting the feeling. And the L?
Learn.
Let it go. So I would like us to do this technique together right now. So we mentioned already there are certain emotions that are difficult for you. So whatever it is right now, I just want you to, let's do a small grounding exercise. And if you could have your feet on the ground and you're relaxed, sit in a relaxed posture. Have your hands upward, and I want you to breathe. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And if you're comfortable to close your eyes, I invite you to do that. Now notice your body. Notice your feet on the ground. Feel the earth supporting your feet. Feel your feet have roots in Mother Earth. And feel the earth feeding you through those roots, just like a tree. And start taking your attention to your legs. Notice your right leg, your ankle, your knee, in your hip. Do you feel any tension anywhere? Are you feeling heat or are you feeling cold? And notice your left leg, your left ankle, your left knee, and your left hip. Notice the sensations you're feeling there. Notice the seat you're sitting in and how it's supporting you. How are you feeling? Now start noticing your gut and your stomach. Are you feeling any knot? Are you feeling any butterflies? Any bloating? Or are you feeling relaxed? Notice the feeling. Oh, notice your chest. Can you put your hand on your heart and feel your heart beating? And I want you to thank your heart for all it does to you. Never resting, forever beating, forever working, keeping us alive. I'm so grateful for my heart. How does that feel for you? Notice the heart beating. Is it beating too fast, too slow, or just right for you? Now notice your back. How's your back feeling? You can put your hand wherever you're feeling any aches. If there's any ache in your body, you can put your hand on it. Yeah? Let's talk about the back and your shoulders. Are you feeling any tightness there? Are you feeling that you're crouching front and you need to straighten up a little bit your back and improve your posture? Notice. How are you feeling in your throat? Are you feeling any tightness in your throat? Or are you feeling it's clear? How are you feeling in your neck? Is it relaxed? Or are you having some tension there? Just notice. How are you feeling? How are you feeling in your head? Are you feeling some pounding or headache? Or you're feeling fine? It's okay. And inhale and exhale. Now, while you did this body scan, you might have noticed a certain part of your body that needs your attention, that is aching you. Can you put your hand on that part of your body right now? Touch it, feel it, stroke it. Be gentle with it. So by doing this, you are embracing your body part that has that sensation. And can you breathe in and breathe out? Can you tell that part of your body, I accept whatever I'm feeling right now. I feel you. I accept it. And think about, what is it trying to tell you? Why is it feeling the way it's feeling? What's the message that it's trying to bring to you? And breathe in and breathe out. And can you let go of that feeling that you're feeling right now? Are you feeling it becoming less? Are you becoming lighter? Can you feel the tension go away or the pain slowly going away? And breathe in and breathe out. And slowly, when you're ready, you can come back. So how was that? Anybody would like to share? How did you feel? Anything you noticed? Yes, Sarah.
It felt very healing for me.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to share?
Always calming for me.
Perfect. Okay. So it's always very important to connect, this feeling it and accepting it. Once you're accepting that feeling and you're noticing it, it kind of like dissipates. And notice at any point in time that stuckness that Caroline was referring to with the throat. Sarah, you felt it maybe in the jaw. Notice that and feel it, embrace it. Don't hush it or don't ignore it. Just be with it. And what is it trying to tell you? Why are you feeling that way? And that should help you with moving into the next step of, allowing it to move away. But you can't do that without asking yourself and sitting with yourself and trying to figure out, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? So you need to have that inner conversation. Journaling is a great way. Some people like to journal. And recently I also heard that people like to talk. And when you talk loudly, I can't remember which culture were saying that when you talk to yourself in a loud way, you're the most happiest people, because you're actually expressing, you're expressing and saying it out, even if nobody's around, you just talk, So, that expression is very important. And then that stuckness would shift because it's energy. If you're allowing the energy to be, then it's okay, then it transforms and it transmutes into something else. And we continue to do that because we are complicated human beings. We have several emotions, and we can have several emotions even at the same time. Okay. So some of the myths about emotions that I'd like to talk about is that we tend to think about our emotions, not feel our emotions. So a lot of the times, catch yourself. Are you saying, I think I'm feeling anxious? Or are you, I am feeling anxious? There's a completely different way. It's, I am feeling anxious. Because when you start, I think I'm feeling anxious, you're going to the head. But the feeling is the language of the body. So you really need to be in tune with the body. It's feeling. Another trap that we go into is identifying with emotion. So anger is a big one. I say, I'm angry. No, you're not angry. I am feeling angry, but I am not angry. Because then you're identifying with anger, and it makes it so much more difficult for it to dissipate and go. So it's, I am feeling angry rather than I am angry. Because you're not angry. You are, Caroline, you're not angry, it's, you're feeling it. And feelings are always time bound. They're never forever. That's another myth that we fall, that we think we're going to forever be like this. No, everything is impermanent, including our emotions. However, the more we do the inner work and we're able to process them, the faster they move on. But if we're stuck, then it takes a longer time. However, even when we're stuck, that too is impermanent. It will dissipate. And of course, we talked about it already. It's like labeling them the good or bad. They're not good or bad. They are negative or positive, but they're all here to guide us. And we have crying. We talked about crying. Crying, we have this big, I don't know if you have, I believe it's all around the world. We always say that men don't cry. I think it's a lot more maybe in the Middle East, but this is even I fell into the trap when I was raising my two sons. I told them, men don't cry. I didn't know better at the time. No, anybody can cry, you know? And showing your vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, because that's another problem, that people think that it's a weakness, but it's not. Showing your vulnerability is actually a strength, because you are being a role model here. I would like to read to you a poem by Rumi, because Rumi, I believe he says it all so nicely. We have a comment here. Let me get the comment. Okay, thank you, Mariana. Pleasure having you with us. So the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I think Rumi does it very nicely. He's telling us the emotions are guides. He's not labeling them good or bad. They're guides, they're guests. And when you befriend them and you're able to process and understand what is it they're trying to tell you, things become so much easier for you. Okay, so I think we're, in terms of time, we still have some time. I just wanted to see if anybody has any questions so far, anything.
I don't have a question, but I've got, that is one of my favorite poems. And I came across it after, during lockdown. I did for about 18 months. So it was 2020 through to 2021. I did this meditation that Rupert Spira showed, which was about inviting an emotion which you found difficult into your inner house. And I did this meditation, and the thing that I had found hard was a sense of pointlessness. And I invited it in, first of all, to the bottom of the path of my house. Then it came in through the gate. Then it went up the path. Then it went into the front door. And then for about 6 months, I had it shelling peas in the kitchen. Until in the end it decided, and so on and so on, until in the end it just decided it wanted to have a nap. And so I tucked it in and I let it have a nap. And I came across Rumi's poem after I had done this. And it was like, oh, right. There, you know, it was like it absolutely made sense of kind of what I had done there, because it was a really difficult thing to keep going with, because I'd spent my whole life being scared about pointlessness and pushing it away and being busy and being successful and being competent and all of those things. And then I came across Rumi's poem and that welcoming it in, and I was like, oh, yes, now I kind of, it all kind of dropped into place. And it's such a completely different way from our Western way of, like, as you said, pushing things away. You said putting it in the boot of your car as well. Such a wonderful analogy there. And it's a totally different way of being with our emotions and being with ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful sharing. And I wanted to talk about 3 emotions and how each one of them, what's the message behind it. I told you that each emotion has a gift for us, yeah? So the big one is anger. So what anger? This is based on a book by Carla. I'll be sharing with you the books, yeah? It's called The Language of Emotions. It's called by Carla McLaren. And she says anger, you usually feel it all over your body. Now, emotions, we're still new in it. So we have another lady who's the quote that I shared: emotions are neither the enemy nor a luxury, but a source of wisdom. Feldman Barrett says that. She doesn't believe that emotions come in any specific part of the body, and she believes it varies from one individual to another. However, Carla, in her books, she believed it does come. So there you have these 2 different schools. At the end of the day, it's I personally, I believe they come in a certain part of my body, because I do believe a lot in the work of Gabor Mate and Heal Your Life. What's the name of the lady? I love her. Louise Hay. Yeah. So I do believe it comes. However, we still don't know. I believe in when it comes to emotions, we really are on the kindergarten of emotions. We're still learning stage. But when it comes to IQ and intelligence, we've got several PhDs up there. So for her, anger, you feel it all over the body. And the action that anger is asking us to do is we need to set boundaries or to restore our integrity. That's the gift of anger. Yeah. That's the action that's required. The gift of anger is you're alive, huh? There's energy. This is prana, huh? This is honor. It's helping you with your honor, assertiveness. It's giving you, that's the power of it. So these are the gifts of anger. So it's not necessarily it's not bad. Anger has a gift, but just up to us to understand, why am I feeling this anger? What is it that I need to set boundaries, or where is it that my honor and my integrity has been questioned? Why? You need to sit with yourself, understand where is it coming from, and then feeling it in your body, as we said, and that will help. And then you take actions based on that, because obviously now maybe I need to set boundary with that certain person because that person is being toxic, for instance. Fear, you feel it in the stomach and the upper chest. And usually fear, there's a cloudy area. It's vague, it's not clear, and you're needing clarity. Usually that comes with fear. Or you need to take action. And fear, the gift of it is obviously our survival. This is one of our basic instincts based on the bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's our survival. It's giving us a lot of intuition and insights. And it's helping us to focus on what needs to be focused on. Because this is where there's a lack of clarity, and the fear is helping us. Okay, this I need more. Maybe I need to, let's take an example of, in work, I don't know what's happening next, and I'm afraid, am I getting the promotion or not? I just need to have that discussion with my boss and clear it up. And that gives you that clarity. Guilt and shame, they really go together. Do you feel it in the stomach and the uterus? And the action that's required is basically grounding and focusing. Possibly burning toxic relations. And the gift is self-respect and integrity. So each emotion has a gift. And I would like to share a small video before we open up the discussion again. Let me just do that. It's very, very short. It's just a 2-minute. But I think it nicely sums up what I'm trying to say here. Let me know if you can hear.
Tears are weak. Envy is destructive. And anger is wrong. It's almost like we shouldn't feel anything. We spend our entire lives concealing our emotions, hiding our true feelings. Then we wonder why we have so much stress, anxiety, and depression. But what would happen if we just let go? If we stop resisting and start embracing every emotion we feel? What if the emotions we feel are wrong to experience are actually entirely natural? There are 5 natural emotions, and in order to understand them, we need a map. Grief. It's what allows you to say goodbye when you don't want to. It's a very natural emotion to express. But when grief is repressed, it transforms into depression. You control grief. Depression controls you. Anger. It's a protective and primal instinct necessary for our survival. It's a very natural emotion to express, and it never has to be hurtful or threatening to anyone. But when anger is repressed, it transforms into rage. You control anger. Rage controls you. Envy. It's what inspires us when we see someone succeeding. It's what drives us to climb to the top and be the best we can be. It's a very natural emotion to express. But when envy is repressed, it transforms into jealousy. You control envy. Jealousy controls you. All of these emotions stem from fear, which is a very natural emotion to experience. Our fears are a protective instinct. They need to be faced and expressed. Fear is an expression of love, which is our highest emotion. The key isn't to stop feeling. It's to start.
So, any feedback, any comments? How did you find that?
Very powerful. It's the video was very powerful, and just this kind of conversation brings home to me how intelligent our emotions are, the intelligence behind them and the wisdom behind them that we so rarely stop or seek to understand, and how much we just become engulfed or overcome by our emotions, and the ability to understand the intelligence around them is so empowering, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that realization is the first step. And now it's just a matter of playing with it and finding out what is it, why am I feeling that emotion, and what's the message behind. And the key is being gentle with yourself, because nobody taught us this. We are learning it as we go. So we need to be gentle with ourselves. One day I might get it, maybe next day I don't, and maybe I misunderstood, and maybe it's like there are ups and downs, and it's okay. Just embrace them all and be gentle and pat yourself on the back, and you're saying you're doing well. This is very important, to have that acceptance of not being harsh with ourselves, that, oh, how come you don't get it? No, it's okay, I don't get it. I will get there. I will get there eventually. And I believe that everything happens at the right time. When it's meant to happen for you to get it, that's when you're going to get there. And be patient. You're going to get there. It's this kind of work doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And time was a human invention after all, so just be present now in the now. So Derek has, Caroline, would you like to share what Derek has?
So I'm finding it quite hard to see.
So I can do
I've just put it. Anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time with the right purpose in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and is not easy or
Oh,
simple.
wow. Oh, wow. So true. It's impossible. I'm not impossible. We never say impossible, but it is practice. Everything comes practice. Yeah.
I think we are drawing to a close,
Yes.
Nadine. Is that all right? Is
That
there
is
anything you
okay.
want to do
I
before we...
I would like us to close with, what positive emotion would you like to invite in your life? So when I was doing my aptitude training, when I got my aha moment that emotion is energy in motion, we were asked to rename ourselves because our parents named us. We had no choice to that. And I decided to rename myself Joy. And I have an autoimmune disease, psoriasis, and according to Louise Hay, it's because I lack joy. So you see, I didn't know this, but I connected the dots later. So my name is Joy, and I always like to sign off with grace, gratitude, and joy. So how would you like to rename yourself? Who would like to go?
Oh, the word that springs to mind for me at the moment is love.
Oh, beautiful. Love. So whenever you sign off, you always say, with love, Sarah. Beautiful. Thank you, Sarah. Lauren? Oh, I would like to say kindness, but actually I think it's grace. Beautiful. And Derek is hope. Oh, I love this. I love this. So if you're inviting this, Caroline, what about you?
I kind of feel like I want all of those ones, actually. I want to be kind of quite greedy there. Probably love. Yeah.
So invite this in your life and sign off your emails and embody it. And yes, I came from a place of what I had a lack of it as a disease, and that was actually coming in and I'm healing. However, because I've been inviting this and I'm actually able to emanate this later because you're working on it, you're consciously working on it, you become the hope, the grace, the love, the joy that you seek. And with that, I hand over back to Caroline. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. That's been a gorgeous, gorgeous talk. Thank you so much, Nadine. And for me, I'm taking quite a lot. I'm also taking Sarah, the intelligence of our emotions. Really, that is kind of what we're talking about today. So just before we leave, I just want to share what we're doing, what's coming. So on the 2nd of December is our first ever somatic book club. And we are reading Amanda Blake, Your Body is Your Brain. And I really do recommend it. It's one of the first books that I got into when I first got into somatic coaching. And it's very accessible, lots of case histories. And I feel like she is a gardener and she's teaching you how to garden for your somatic awareness. And then I've chosen a really happy book for Christmas. I don't quite know what made me do this, but the 10th of February, we're looking at the Trauma-Informed Coach by Joanna Harper. And then we've got Robin Athay on the 3rd of March, and she's going to do something around slow leadership, which I just love that. And Kate was one of my first speakers in 2022, I think I started this, or 21. So she's coming back, so that's lovely. And Kate Avery in April as well. So she's I can't say the word, integrative. Yeah, that's like one of those words that my dyslexic brain struggles with that one. So I am looking for guest speakers in 2026, so please contact me. My email address is caroline@quaifassociates.com, or you can contact me on LinkedIn. And please do register so that you get details of all of these. So I just want to say, I wonder if people can come off mute and just say goodbye as we are leaving. And I'm going to say again, thank you to Nadine. Lauren said, thank you so much. Fantastic session. So yeah, thank you.
Keep me posted on how you're managing your emotions. I'd love to hear from you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Nadine. That was a beautiful session. I think I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to process it and rewatch because there was so much in there. So thank you very much for today and sharing your knowledge. And thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.